You are listening to Venus Rose, interactive spiritual Q&A and the power of sound.
Music is like sunshine.
Hello, conscious souls. How are you feeling? Today is Friday the 13th. Some people who are superstitious may have been extra careful with anything. I heard that this is the day of the star of Venus, much more beautiful, and I thought that might be fitting to mention it here. It is the most beautiful weather where I am at the moment, and yesterday I was asked if I've seen the big strawberry moon in the night sky. I was told it was beautifully pink. One of my favorite astrologers, Stephanie Powers, says an old almanac refers to the first full moon in June as a strawberry one, because it's their peak harvest time. Unfortunately, I did not see it in full glory 2 days ago, but I felt the energy. It was quite intense. The full moon was in Sagittarius, all about higher knowledge, wisdom, and the truth, I'd say. So in case your emotions were rattled up due to the Jupiter influence as the ruler of the sign of Sagittarius, you now know why. We are all about communication still during this Gemini season. I asked you last week to send me questions around communication with animals of whatever nature is important to you. I got mail from a woman whose mare is not by her side for a very long time period now. There are several different reasons for the circumstances to be this way, but I won't go into further details. What I do want to say, though, is that this question resonates deeply within me, because this sense of longing for someone and feeling that bond shaped me from the beginning of my life. In my case, it was my mother that I was missing as an infant, so to strike this chord within me is pretty easy. There would have been other ways to approach this question, but I decided to take the road where you could explore your own senses and have fun with the etheric world. In this way, other beings who want to check the bonds they have to their humans or animals can try this as well. For all those of you who want direct answers, I wanted to remind you that you can book a session with me where we can examine together your special case. Just send me an email, which you can find in the show notes. So, Chris's question for her mare, Dia. How will I know that you still feel our bond, even though we're apart? Is there a way your heart speaks to mine, even across the distance? It is quite usual we humans tend to ask the others in order to get validation for something. But I'm asking you now, Chris, do you feel the bond of both of you inside? In our world full of distractions, we might overhear things that arise from within easily. Have you ever found the time to listen what comes up when you think about your mare, Dia, while everything else is silence? In order to feel a bond, you need to examine how your cognition works first, and then learn how to experience your telepathic senses. I will come back to this in one of the other questions that will follow. Every being has different talents. I am not talking about being clairaudient or clairvoyant in this case. For most people, it is more easy to tap into what they perceive from their hearts when it is quiet around them. When you are able to take your time to sit down quietly, close your eyes, and think about Dia, I am sure something will happen. Either you simply remember something you both experienced together that pops up in your mind's eye, or you might hear something, a song perhaps. Whatever it is, pay attention to your heart. Does it beat faster or more slowly? What do you feel in your gut when you think about her? Any sensation is important and needs to be recognized and honored. In this world, where everything is fast and flashy, we want things to be crass in order to pay attention or to appreciate it as something of great value. But in the etheric world, it is often the subtle things. And don't get me wrong, they can be pretty intense too, but most of us are conditioned to ignore our feelings and what our body tells us in order for our mind to keep holding on to the scepter. So I want to encourage you to take a time out and try this, to listen what comes up when you ask about your bond. Please let me know what you experienced and in which way her heart spoke to yours. Chris, when you visit her the next time, notice the way she interacts with you and if something has changed between the both of you. And any other one of your listeners, I would love to hear from you too. What came up, how you felt the bond of the one in the distance. The second question from Eileen, who graced us with one question in the first episode, asked via Spotify again. Thank you for this episode. I would be interested to know what ways there are to develop my animal communication skills. What can I do to refine my senses besides having conversations? Thank you for this question, and most of all, that you are in service to the animal kingdom in this way. I'm so over the moon that more and more humans are open for this kind of communication with their animals. I would suggest that while you have your next conversation with whatever animal it is you are talking to, try to focus on the energy of that being and check what else comes up. It might sound too easy, but the refinement of skills in this area will develop through holding the balance between staying focused and being open at the same time. And this task needs training and repetition, but it is fun when you realize what else comes up. The most tricky part is to trust what comes. It can be irritating at times, especially with animals that are not pets. But we need to stay open-minded and don't forget your body. Sometimes you will have somatic experiences that come from the animal you are conversing with. Important to know is when you have those sensations in the body, some might be painful. Clear them out after you have finished. Through intention and water, for example. Rinse out the stuff that does not belong to your system. I hope I could be of help. In case you come across anything interesting, let me know. The next question is from Leah. Thank you. I have several different telepathic, let's say, styles, at least when it comes to horses. Some hear words in their ears, others get pictures in their mind's eye. It is depending on the horse or the human who asks. Has there ever been a horse that did not want to talk at all? And if so, how does it show? Thank you again for these interesting questions. And in the beginning of this episode, I was hinting at this. We all have these abilities that are more or often less developed. But the talents are diverse, as I mentioned earlier. I remember when I was at an academy in order to learn how to improve my abilities, we all had different ways of how things manifested. One girl, she was the youngest back then, sensed what her dog sensed. When he was thirsty, she was, as an example. I know others who even get the taste of things that were brought to them. For me personally, I hear things quite clear. A sense of knowing is always dominant, but pictures come as well. So it's more up to how the being who asks is wired, so to speak. But it does not mean one is more worth than the other. It depends on what is needed and which area is asked to be looked at. It is a difference, of course, if someone wants to know if the food is okay or someone else needs healing in some way. It varies which topic wants to be looked at in a particular case. Concerning the last question, I personally never had a being that did not want to speak to me. But it's just a matter of trust and the willingness to talk. Cats, for example, do not like to share their business too much, in general. Dogs and horses are different. If they have good experiences with humans and are open, they will share and hope that the someone who listens will help them in whichever way needed. If they were mistreated before, they most likely is that they won't open up because they don't trust or simply think it doesn't matter anyway. No one ever cared before what I had to say, type of thing. Yes, so I hope I was able to make it a little more clearer for you how this stuff works. Just send me an email if you like to book a session with me, or if it is something special. I know other brilliant communicators who would love to be of service for you and your pet. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And next week, I guess it will be time to talk about communication in love relationships. Sorry, my words are a little bit rumbled up today. So go ahead, send me questions via email for all of those of you who don't use social media at all. You can also leave me a message in the comments on Spotify or on my YouTube channel called Crystal Seraphim Sounds. Or, of course, you can head over to Instagram at Venus Rose Podcast, where you can find me and leave some questions about this topic. So, have a beautiful weekend and enjoy life with all your loved ones. Love to you all. Rose.